Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to touch on the Chinese cave geckos. These guys are a little bit different than the Japanese cave geckos. Most of them get a little bit bigger. Basically the same type of care, though. They are a temperate tropical or temperate rainforest type animal. Somebody had commented on the YouTube page on the last video about the two different types of rainforests, and there are two different types of rainforests: the tropical and the temperate. Temperate just means that it's going to be cooler, and these guys are also from that type of an environment where it's a little bit cooler, not as cool as the Japanese. The Japanese cave geckos definitely need a little bit cooler than these guys, but I keep them at the same temperature here, and I have great results with them. This time we're going to touch on the hainanensis. The hainanensis, or Goniurosaurus hainanensis, come from a small island right off the coast of China. Most of the ones in captivity are from, wild-caught specimens or like F1s or F2s. There's not really a whole lot of captive bred specimens out there, but it's getting more common. A lot of them were imported in the last few years. I ended up getting quite a bit of them whenever they were coming in. I think my colony right now is probably, I would say, 40 or 50 adults, and then I still have juveniles and babies as well. But the hainanensis sometimes are confused with the Lichtenfelderi, which the Lichtenfelderi are actually from Vietnam, right off the, or right, I should just show you the picture of it. They're right on the eastern border of Vietnam there, which the Hainan Island is right there, and then the Lichtenfelderi are from this area right here. The hainanensis are from the island. The hainanensis also can be, they have two different forms, if you will. One is a lowland form and one is a highland form, and there's supposedly a difference in the coloration. But with a lot of the animals that were imported, they weren't labeled highland or lowland, so it's anybody's guess to what they actually were. The main difference between the Lichtenfelderi and the hainanensis, if you see this picture right here, this is definitely a good illustration to show you the difference. The Lichtenfelderi, the neck band actually doesn't come the whole way to the eye, whereas in the hainanensis it comes the whole way to the eye. That's the easiest way to tell, but for the most part there's not a whole lot of people working with the Goniurosaurus Lichtenfelderi. There are a couple, but they're a little bit more rare than the actual hainanensis. Sometimes you will see hainanensis being sold as Lichtenfelderi, and that is just because their scientific name is actually Goniurosaurus Lichtenfelderi hainanensis, and then this is Lichtenfelderi. So that's where some of the confusion can come into play. But the ones that I'm going to show you today are the hainanensis. I actually don't have any true Lichtenfelderi at this time. So what I'm going to do is actually go through and show you some of the setups of how I keep them. These are their breeding setups. They are the 32 quart or 28 quart, whatever you want to call them. They're the same types of tubs that I use to breed my leopard geckos. But as you can see, kind of set up just like my leopard gecko breeders, but definitely have one side that I try to keep a little bit drier just so that the mealworms don't get all messy. Definitely a bowl of water in here for them. Their lay box is filled with cocoa fiber that is moistened, and then they also have the whole back half I try to keep wet as well. As I did in the previous video, I just redid these guys, so that's why it's a little bit more wet than normal. These guys were just sprayed down. As you can see, there wasn't anybody in the lay box. This one has a regenerated tail. You can also see that the bands are also a lot darker. That's because this animal is an older animal. As they get older, they tend to lose the bands a little bit. You will see animals for sale that they call patternless. That's not true. They're not actual patternless. It's just that they're an older animal that doesn't have the bands anymore. The bands have faded out. And it's typically found in males. I don't know why that is. Maybe males get a little bit older. There should be another one underneath here. This one you can see the bands are not as faded out. It has more of that whitish bands. Cool little pattern to their back too, where they're a little bit lighter. I'll show you some darker ones in the other tub. And these guys are actually both females. I don't know if she'll let me pick her up. There we go. Let's see if she'll be a little bit calmer for me here. All right. You can actually see that she doesn't have the bulges. I'll show you a male. But this one again has a regenerated tail as well. These guys are our actual wild-caught animals. These are the breeders that I have had breeding for about 2 years. Alright, now we'll get into this one. This one has a male in it, so should be able to show you what the males look like. That's one of the females right there, I believe. Very cool looking animal. Just red eyes. Very awesome looking. They are a very shy animal, and they can be very quick. So whenever you're messing with them, you definitely want to make sure that they're in a place where they can't escape real quickly, because they will get away. As you can see, these guys have more of the banding to them still. I definitely believe that these guys are a little bit younger. And then this is the female. This one's a male. See if I can't grab him real quick without scaring the crap out of him. Oh. As you can see, they can kind of hang on to stuff here. Alright, I'm going to see if I can't flip him around so you can see the bulges. The bulges are very pronounced. There we go. That should be a good view of them right there. You can see the bulges. The pores are very enlarged as well. That's a good underside shot of them. Let him get down. And again, the females won't have those bulges like that. Again, the same thing goes. You can see the ovulations with these guys. So that's whenever you can put the males in. I actually leave the males in with certain females all year round. Just because I don't take the males out and put them in separate containers. They just live with the females and they live with them quite nicely. Again, I feed these guys mealworms with the Bionate. I'll throw roaches to them every once in a while. They will eat crickets, and they do like chasing around the crickets and stuff like that. These guys get probably about 25 to 30 grams is probably a fat one. So they don't get as big as a leopard gecko. They definitely stay a lot smaller. And again, the breeding, it actually takes them probably about like 3 weeks to a month to actually lay the eggs after a breeding, even with them ovulating. So it does take a little bit longer for them to actually lay the eggs. Incubation time is a lot longer. The incubation temperature is a lot lower. I actually incubate my eggs at room temperature here, which I try to keep them in the low 70s to try to get more females. I believe that they are temperature sex dependent as well, just like a lot of the eublepharin geckos, with the male temperatures being hotter and the female temperatures being cooler. They do lay 2 eggs at a time, just like a leopard gecko, and they you know, can lay, I've had a couple females lay, you know, 4 to 6 clutches pretty easily without losing too much weight. So they are these guys are a lot more prolific than the Japanese cave geckos. Alright, I'm going to show you a couple babies real quick. and I don't want to make the video too long. This is how I have the babies set up. For the process of, the video here, I actually put 2 babies into this container. I try to keep them separated as much as possible, just so that they don't bite each other's tails off and stuff like that. But as you can see, just a petri dish that's not very high, with mealworms in it with a bionate. I also feed these guys roaches. You'll probably see a couple roaches running around in here. They're just baby nymph roaches. Just a regular hide like I always use. And then, a little, I think that's a 1 ounce water dish for them. Cocoa fiber is the bedding that's moistened, just so that they don't dry out very quickly. You got to be very careful with the babies that they don't dry out. If they dry out, they will die within a day or 2. So you got to make sure that they definitely have a very high humidity, so that they don't dehydrate and die. This little guy right here is kind of like the normal phase, if you will. It's more of a yellowish color, white to yellow. Whenever most of them are born, they have like white to yellow bands. Some, like this guy over here, actually have the orange bands, which it's definitely a different variety that they are definitely coming out with, that you can, I believe you can line breed this. A couple people are working on that, to line breed for more color in the bands. So I don't know exactly how it works. I don't think really anybody does. I don't know if it's line bred, which I tend to believe it is. But a couple people are actually working on that. And as you can see, these babies are very banded. There are aberrancies popping out, that I have a few of those as well. Usually it's this band right here is a broken band, and it kind of connects with the band at the base of the tail. The other thing to notice with these guys, there's also a mealworm in there, you can see. These guys have the neck band, the tail band, and then there are 2 bands in between. That's very important to know once I get into the Louis, because the Louis actually have 3 bands instead of 2. The tail bands can vary. As you can see, the tail bands are white. But the main bands that you want to worry about are the body bands. And as you can see with these guys, their neck band actually goes the whole way to their eye, so they're definitely a hainanensis. And you'll notice some of them will actually get a little, dot of color on their back leg as well. See, this guy doesn't have it, the little spot on his back leg, and this guy actually does. I don't know if that's the difference between the lowland and the highland form or not, or if it's a marker or what it is, but it's definitely something to take note of. As you can see, very cool little babies. The bad part about these guys is it takes them about 2 years to reach sexual maturity. They grow very slow, just because of cooler temperatures and stuff like that. Even if you are having food available to them at all times, they still do take quite a long time to grow. These guys are a few months old at this point. Whenever they're born, they're probably like 1 or 2 grams. They're very tiny. But again, this is the basic setup for the babies. Once they get about half grown, I'll put them into a bigger container to try to get them to grow a little bit faster as well. But this is basically the information on the hainanensis. I'm going to make 2 more videos, one on the Louis and one on the Arrhenius. Thanks for watching.